Uplighting is the most popular technique for outdoor lighting. Let's take a look at a few designs that you can use in your next job. So John, when you come up to a new site, such as this, what's going through your head when you try to figure out a design?
The first thing I think about is where am I going to be visually seeing this property? Where am I going to be spending the most of my time? From that area, I want to create a beautiful backdrop, a beautiful area to look at.
Tell me what you have in this situation here.
Yeah, in this island, we have a few things going on. The first thing we did with the boulders, we used the PB wall wash light. The PB wall wash light puts out a softer, wider light. And we thought that'd be perfect for the boulders.
Now, why not use a typical spotlight in front of each boulder?
The uplight or a traditional NP, it'd be too harsh uplight for that boulder.
It would be. It would be. I really love the wide spread of the PB. It gives a very clean and consistent wash of the boulders. Now, what proximity do you have them installed at?
It really depends on the size of the boulder and the light you're trying to get on the boulder.
So what's your general rule of thumb?
On these size boulders, on the smaller side, we go about 12 to 18 inches. In some areas where the island bed cuts out, we have to put the wall wash light a little closer to the boulder, which is okay. It still puts off a fantastic light. But in an area where you can't, you just got to go as far as you can.
I gotcha. Now you have, looks like you have a combination of wall washes and then uplights. Tell me what is happening with the uplights.
That's correct. We chose uplights on the two trees we have in this area with the crepe myrtle and the tree over here.
I see one, looks like one uplight at each tree. Tell me why you selected one versus two or three.
Correct. We chose the uplights for the maple and the tree behind me for they're a little bit sharper of a light, and they really illuminate the trees very nicely. And the placement of the fixtures, we're trying to focus on illuminating this area from our point over this way. We have the walkway here, and when you're walking or you're driving down the driveway, it really shows this area very nicely.
Yeah, it does. And what I especially like about this area is you do not have a lot of competing light sources. Therefore, you do not always need 3 fixtures around each tree when one light is sufficient without that competing light source.
Exactly correct,
So John, behind this island, we have the structure of the house, and it looks like you do have some architectural lighting to go with it as well. How do you decide how that interacts with the island itself?
We wanted to kind of bring your eyes off the house just a little bit. And we did that with this island and with the wall wash and the trees to kind of capture, instead of just seeing the house, we wanted to bring some color, especially these trees, some color into the area.
Now, what is the difference between the intensity of the island area versus the house itself?
Now, the house it's got a little more lights, and it's all one kind of material, so it's going to be a little stronger up against the house compared to the island.
So you definitely want the island to stand out a little bit more as the focal point of the setting.
That's correct.
Great. So John, you have a phenomenal rock structure here. Tell me where you even started to light up something such as this.
This was quite the project.
Yeah, it was.
We used multiple lights here. And the first thing we did, we wanted to light up the walls. The boulder walls are incredible. They've got 3 levels of boulder walls. And we used the PB3 wall wash light, spaced about every 12 feet on all 3 levels of the wall. Incredible. But we didn't want it to be one-sided. We tried to bring a little depth to the project.
And how did you do that?
We brought the depth by using the NP uplight. And with that uplight, we illuminated most of the trees, if not all the trees.
So that must have created a lot of work in terms of the design. What did you do beforehand to plan for such an event?
It did. Well, watching them build this was incredible. Again, we were all about where you were going to be seeing this project, and the main focal point was the pool and the patio.
That's where we start. So from that point, you decided on putting the PBs where?
Every 12 feet. Now here, since the walls are so tall, we didn't put them as close to the wall. We brought them back.
And how far back do you think you
Here we were about 2.5 to 3 feet. In order to get light, some of these walls are 10 feet tall. So we needed the light to go not only wide, we need to go up the wall.
And then for the trees themselves, did you do one for every tree, 2 or 3?
We did mostly one, but for the main trees, some of the center trees, we used 2. We had it from both angles.
And both angles because there's multiple viewing points, right?
Correct.
Tell me about your lighting plan here.
Yeah, so on the front of the house, we have two separate lighting needs.
Okay.
We have the landscape and as well as the architecture of the home.
Okay. Now, so let's start with landscape then.
Sure.
How did you decide to light up this section, maybe this maple here?
On this maple, we chose the PB wall wash. Now it's a little smaller of a maple and it's real wide. Okay. So instead of using two uplights, we use one wall wash.
Well, I'm sure that helps with the width of the canopy.
That's right, it looks great.
And it probably saves the homeowner a little bit because you need one fixture rather than two. Maybe
Exactly.
simplifies your design too.
Exactly.
Good, good. Tell me about the architecture then.
Sure, on the architecture, we used uplighting and we have one uplight on both sides of the window.
Okay.
And then we have one uplight behind the bush, and it's going all the way up to the peak.
Okay. Well, focusing on that really probably takes the light out of the window, is that right?
That's correct. We strategically put the uplight behind the bush to kind of guard the window from the light.
Interesting. Now what happens as that bush grows?
Right. What we would like to do when the bush grows is come in with a 12-inch riser to get the light above the bush and back up to the peak.
That makes sense. That makes really the light pretty consistent, I would think, around the stonework and kind of keeping the light out of the window itself.
That's right.
So John, tell me what you have going on here.
We have a boulder wall, and on top of the boulder wall, we have landscaping and a few trees.
And so how did you decide to light this area?
The wall, we use the PB wall wash.
Yeah.
We wanted more texture on the wall.
Okay. So
we used it 2 feet. The further you go out, you lose that little bit of texture.
Okay, so close to the wall, lots of texture, farther from the wall, what, a very flat
Yeah, you start
look
to
to
flatten out your wall a little bit.
Okay.
Which is a fine look.
Sure, so what about the trees here?
The trees, we use the uplighting, and our viewing angle is from over here. So of course we used one uplight going up the tree.
Yeah. Now in this case, you used one. Do you ever use 2 or 3, or when do you decide to do that?
Yeah, as the tree grows, sometimes you might need to add a second light.
Okay.
That it might be 2, that might be 5, 6 years.
Okay. So it just depends on that, on the time frame and the growth of the tree.
That's right.
And even the various viewing angles for the homeowner, is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Now, what about the pruning of the tree? Is that important?
Yeah, as the foliage grows, it sometimes blocks the light. We always recommend the homeowner prune maybe once or twice a year.
And that's important because the foliage blocks the light, but yet the branching structure is really highlighted by the light itself. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so the light can really go much farther than the tree, and you can take advantage of less light, really, if you keep the tree very well pruned.
Exactly.
Uplighting is the most dramatic type of landscape lighting. Let's review some basics. Trees are traditionally illuminated with uplights, with a special focus to ensure all areas of the tree are highlighted from the necessary viewing areas. Use long shrouds or hex baffles when the light source is visible to your general audience. Focus on lighting the trunk and branching structure of a tree instead of the leaves. Always ensure that the tree is properly pruned. Wall washes are a great option for shrubs, walls, and boulders. To add light while hiding the fixture, use in-grade lights. Don't forget to highlight the architectural features of a house. Uplights are the most impactful way to bring color into a landscape. By adding a few colors, uplights can create fun looks and themes. I hope you learned some new techniques for uplighting, the most popular form of lighting that we see today. For more information, go to fxl.com.